The pack arrived for blood. They found their cubs asleep on an Omega's chest, and the Alpha relented. The distress beacon screamed across the pack network before Alpha Damon received it. His claws dug into the armrest of his throne, leaving deep gouges in the wood as the message played again. 2 of his pack's pups, missing for 3 days, had been traced to a small cabin on the border of unclaimed territory. An Omega's cabin. Omegas were rare, vulnerable, and this one lived alone outside pack protection. The galaxy of pack politics had taught most Omegas to stay within guarded territories, to accept Alpha protection whether they wanted it or not. This one had refused every offer, every demand, choosing isolation over submission. And now she had his pups. "Assemble the enforcers," Damon growled, his massive frame already moving toward the doors. His silver-black fur bristled with barely contained rage. The Shadow Moon Pack were apex predators across 3 territories, their protective instincts honed across generations. And some Omega, had taken 2 of their young. The pack assembled within minutes. 20 warriors, each standing over 7 feet tall with eyes that glowed gold in the darkness. Their wolves snarled beneath their skin, demanding blood, demanding vengeance. They would make an example. They would show what happened to those who touched Shadow Moon pups. The cabin. The cabin was small, barely more than a cottage tucked into the forest's edge. Smoke rose from the chimney. One window glowed with warm firelight. It looked peaceful, ordinary, a trap waiting to spring. Damon's senses detected only one adult signature inside. Omega, unmistakably. The sweet, calming scent that could soothe even the most feral Alpha. And underneath it, 2 smaller signatures that made his breath catch. The pups. Alive. "Breach protocol," Damon commanded, his voice deadly quiet. "Non-lethal until I assess the situation. But if that Omega has harmed them..." He didn't need to finish. The pack knew. They surrounded the cabin with practiced efficiency, weapons drawn, movements synchronized like the hunting parties of their ancestors. Damon took point, his hand on the door handle, every instinct screaming to tear through it. But something made him pause. No fear scent, no aggression. Just exhaustion and something else. Something sweet he couldn't identify. He opened the door slowly. The discovery. The interior was cramped, designed for someone much smaller than a full-grown Alpha. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting everything in warm, amber light. Herbs hung drying from the ceiling. Books lined makeshift shelves. It smelled like home, like safety, like everything his pack fortress wasn't. They found her in the small bedroom. The Omega sat propped against the headboard, her dark hair matted with dried blood from a gash on her temple. Her left arm was wrapped in crude bandages, clearly broken. Burns marked her hands where she'd obviously fought through pain to tend to something, or someone. A half-empty medical kit lay open beside her, its supplies scattered. And on her chest, curled together in a pile of borrowed blankets and her own oversized sweater, slept Damon's pups. The tiny wolves, barely old enough to shift, rose and fell with her breathing. Their small claws were retracted, their faces peaceful in deep sleep. One of them, Damon recognized his daughter Luna by her silver-tipped ears, had her face pressed against the Omega's collarbone, tiny hands fisted in the fabric of her shirt. The Omega's good arm rested protectively across them both, even in her obvious exhaustion. Damon raised his hand, halting the pack. 20 warriors froze in the doorway, weapons trained on the scene, but nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The Omega's eyes opened slowly. Green eyes, Damon noted distantly. Forest green, heavy with exhaustion but focusing on him with surprising clarity. She didn't reach for a weapon. Didn't try to use the pups as hostages or shields. She just looked at him, and impossibly, she smiled. "You must be Dad," she said. her voice rough but gentle. Took you long enough. The Truth Damon took a single step forward, every muscle coiled. His voice came out as a growl that would have sent most wolves to their knees. How did my pups come to be in your cabin, Omega? Elara, she said, wincing as she shifted slightly. The movement made Luna mumble something in her sleep, and Elara immediately stilled, her hand stroking soothing circles on the pup's back. My name is Elara, and I found them in the woods 2 days ago. Damon's eyes narrowed. Found them. Your territory was attacked by rogues 3 days ago. I heard about it from travelers. Alara's jaw tightened. Found these two wandering near the river, terrified and alone. They'd been separated from your pack during the chaos. One of them, she glanced down at the small boy, Damon's son, Ash, had a twisted ankle. The girls was protecting him, but they were both dehydrated, scared, and lost. The rogue attack had been brutal. Damon's pack had decimated the attackers, but in the chaos of battle, 2 pups had slipped away, following their terrified instincts to run and hide. By the time they'd realized the pups were missing, the trail had gone cold. So you took them, Damon said slowly, his voice dangerous. You, an Omega living outside pack protection, took 2 alpha blood pups into your home. Someone had to. Alara's green eyes flashed with surprising defiance. They were babies, Alpha. Hurt and scared and calling for their parents. What was I supposed to do? Leave them in the woods to die? You could have brought them to the border, alerted the nearest pack patrol. I tried. Her voice cracked slightly. Ash's ankle was badly sprained. Luna wouldn't let me put her brother down, kept growling at me whenever I suggested it. So I carried them both back here, got them stable, fed them, wrapped the ankle. She looked down at the sleeping pups with something painfully tender in her expression. I sent word to 3 different pack contacts yesterday, but no one responded. Then last night, she gestured to her injuries with her chin. Rogues tracked their scent here. 4 of them, looking to finish what they started. Damon went very still. Rogues attacked you. I fought them off, said simply, as if it were nothing. As if an Omega defending against 4 full-grown rogues was ordinary. Couldn't let them get to the pups. Managed to kill 2, wounded the others enough that they fled. But she swallowed hard. I got hurt in the process. Been trying to stay conscious ever since, in case they came back. You killed 2 rogues, Damon repeated slowly, something like awe creeping into his voice. Alone, while injured, to protect pups that aren't yours. They're children, Elara said, as if that explained everything. And they were scared. They kept crying for their mama, and Papa kept asking when you'd come. So I held them, told them stories, sang them to sleep. Her voice softened. Luna was having nightmares. Ash wouldn't stop shaking. They needed someone. Damon felt something shift in his chest, some ancient recognition that transcended pack law and hierarchy. He'd seen protective instincts before, but never like this. Never from an Omega who had every reason to fear alpha blood pups, who could have used them for leverage, who could have done 1,000 things other than protect them at cost to herself. My daughter, Damon said quietly, approaching slowly despite the warning growls from his enforcers, has been crying in her sleep since the attack. Nightmares about rogues and blood. Alara's expression softened. Not tonight. Tonight she dreamed about running through fields of silver grass under a full moon. I could feel it in the way she moved. Happy dreams. Safe dreams. Our ancestral homeland, Damon whispered. She's never been there. Genetic memory, maybe, Elara said softly. Or just hope. The relent Damon knelt before the Omega, bringing his massive frame down to her level. Up close, he could see how much pain she was in. The tremor in her good arm, the shallow breathing of someone with probably cracked ribs, the way her skin had gone pale from blood loss and exhaustion. She'd pushed herself past all reasonable limits for his children. The pack came for blood, Damon said softly, extending one clawed hand toward her, palm up, non-threatening. We came to tear apart whoever took our pups. Yeah. Alara eyed his hand, then his face. I figured. That's why I sent the beacon. Better you find them here, safe with me, than wasting time hunting while they needed medical care. You sent the beacon, Damon repeated, stunned. You wanted us to find you. Of course I did. They need their pack, their family. Her green eyes filled with tears. I'm just an Omega living in a cabin. I can't give them what they need, long term. But I could keep them alive until you arrived. That's all that mattered. Damon felt his wolf do something it had never done before, submit completely to someone outside his pack. Not from fear or force, but from recognition. This Omega understood pack better than most wolves with full pack bonds. You protected my pups, Damon said, his voice roughening with emotion. At risk to your own life. You fought rogues alone. You held them through nightmares. You summoned us, knowing we'd come in fury. They're your children, Alara said simply. What else would I do? Damon carefully, gently, lifted both pups from Alara's chest. They grumbled in protest, tiny hands reaching back toward her, but didn't fully wake. He passed them to his second-in-command, then turned back to the Omega. And now, Alara of the Borderlands, he said, carefully sliding one arm behind her back and another under her knees, lifting her as gently as he'd handle his own pups. We protect you. She didn't protest, didn't fight. Just leaned her head against his chest and whispered, Thank you. Please don't make me leave them yet. I need to know they're okay. Leave them? Damon's voice rumbled with something between laughter and disbelief. Alara, you're not leaving them. You're coming with us. But I'm not Pack. You are now. The choice. The medical wing of Shadow Moon's pack house was state-of-the-art. Within 2 hours, Alara's arm was set in a proper cast, her wounds treated by the pack healer, her exhausted body finally given the rest it desperately needed. Damon sat beside her recovery bed, his pups reunited with their birth pack, but refusing to leave entirely. They kept returning to press against Alara's bedside, crawling up to sleep against her whenever the nurses weren't looking. His mate, Kira, arriving from patrol, took one look at the scene and understood immediately. She's Pack now, Kira said softly, watching Alara sleep with both pups curled against her sides. She's Pack, Damon confirmed. The pups have chosen, and when an Omega protects alpha blood like that... Kira's eyes softened. Bond law is clear. She's ours now. If she'll have us. When Alara woke hours later, fully healed and stronger, she found Damon sitting in the chair beside her bed. Luna was asleep in his lap, but Ash had climbed onto Alara's bed and was pressed against her side, tiny fingers wrapped around hers. Hey, Alara said softly, not wanting to wake either pup. Hey, Damon's golden eyes studied her. How do you feel? Better. Your healer is amazing. She looked down at Ash, something tender crossing her face. Are they okay? They're perfect, thanks to you. Silence stretched between them, comfortable, weighted with unspoken things. I need to ask you something, Damon said finally, and I need you to answer honestly. Okay. Why did you really do it? Risk your life for pups you'd never met, from a pack that's never shown you anything but territorial warnings to stay away? Alara was quiet for a long moment, her fingers gentle in Ash's hair. Because I know what it's like to be alone and scared, she finally said. To call for help and have no one come. To be a child who needs protection and find only indifference. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. I couldn't be that person. I couldn't be the one who turned away from children who needed me, even if they weren't mine. Even if helping them might get me killed. She looked up, meeting his eyes. I'd rather die protecting them than live knowing I'd left them to suffer alone. Damon felt his heart do something he hadn't expected, crack open completely. You're not alone anymore, he said roughly. The pups have chosen you as pack. Luna won't sleep without your scent nearby. Ash asks for you every 10 minutes. My mate wants to meet the Omega, who killed rogues to protect her children." He leaned forward, careful not to disturb Luna. "I'm not asking you to accept a mate bond or anything you're not ready for. But I am asking, will you join our pack? Officially. As family." Alara stared at him, tears gathering in her green eyes. "You want me? An Omega who lives alone, who has no useful skills for pack hierarchy, who protected my pups like they were your own, who fought 4 rogues alone and won, who has a bond with my children that's strong enough they literally won't sleep without you." Damon's voice softened. "Ilara, you're already pack in every way that matters. I'm just asking you to make it official." "I don't know how to be pack," she whispered. "I've been alone for so long." "Then we'll teach you, together." He extended his hand palm up. "What do you say?" Alara looked down at Ash, sleeping so peacefully against her side, at Luna, curled in her father's lap, but with one tiny hand stretched toward Alara, at the Alpha, who'd come for blood but found something else entirely. She placed her hand in Damon's. "Okay," she breathed. "I'll try." His smile was like sunrise after the longest night. Epilogue. 3 months later. Alara woke to the familiar weight of 2 small bodies pressed against her sides. Luna was sprawled across her stomach, snoring softly. Ash had somehow wedged himself between Alara and the headboard, his wild hair tickling her cheek. She smiled, careful not to disturb them as she breathed in the scent of home. The door opened quietly. Damon slipped in, carrying a tray of breakfast, his expression softening when he saw the 3 of them. "They snuck in again," Alara whispered. "I know. I was watching on the monitor." He set the tray on the nightstand and sat on the edge of the bed. "They wait until they think I'm asleep, then make a break for your room. Should we discourage it?" "Probably." Damon reached out, stroking Luna's hair. "But I don't want to. They're happy. You're happy. That's all that matters." Alara studied him, this Alpha who'd come for vengeance and stayed for family, who'd given her not just protection, but belonging. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For not killing me that first night," she smiled. "For seeing past what I am to who I am. For giving me a family when I'd given up hope of ever having one." Damon leaned down, careful not to jostle the pups, and kissed her forehead. "Thank you for protecting them. For teaching me that pack isn't just about blood and hierarchy. It's about who you'd fight for, who you'd die for, who you'd hold through nightmares even when you're injured yourself." Luna stirred, mumbling, "Mama Lara, breakfast time?" Alara's heart clenched. The pups had started calling her that a month ago, and it still made her want to cry every time. "Yes, little moon, breakfast time." As they ate together, Damon, Alara, and 2 pups who'd found their way home through the most unlikely rescue. Alara thought about that terrifying night when she'd fought rogues alone, broken and bleeding, but determined. The pack had arrived for blood. They'd found their pups asleep on an Omega's chest, and the Alpha had relented. Now, 3 months later, they were simply family. And that, Alara thought as Luna giggled and Ash stole bacon from Damon's plate, was worth every scar she carried.